exactly how you're going to become disciplined this upcoming school year. Being disciplined is a lot like learning to ride a bike. It's super difficult in the beginning, but then it gets easier the more you practice it. Number 2, delay gratification in your life. This, in my opinion, is the most important thing I will talk about today. Delayed gratification is the essence and base of self-control. It basically means that you are going to choose long-term gratification over short-term gratification. To illustrate this, I'm going to give you an example in psychology, which is called the marshmallow test, where students in preschool were given one marshmallow and were told that if they waited and didn't eat the marshmallow, 15 minutes later, they would receive another marshmallow. What they found was the kids who waited for that second marshmallow and had that self-control to not eat the first one ended up with higher SAT scores and better grades in high school. Now, I'm not saying that high SAT scores and good grades are an indicator of success. What I am saying is that if education is your goal, then self-control is essential. And I believe that self-control would help you do anything in life. So the way you will choose long-term gratification is sitting down, study, instead of scrolling on social media, for example. The social media will give you that short-term dopamine rush that your brain gets addicted to. But I will tell you that the long-term gratification from studying is what your brain will end up craving if you make it a habit. Number 3, self-care is the way to avoid burnout. In psychology, there's a term called ego depletion, which means that self-control and discipline is basically something that can be used up. It's a limited resource. The only way for you to wake up the next day and keep studying or keep working out what your goals are is if you take care of yourself. Take care of yourself by keeping up with your hygiene, doing small things that you like every day, even if it's for 5 minutes a day. And remember to reward yourself even if you don't feel like you were productive enough or you worked hard enough. If you take away your healthy rewards like your hygiene or eating right or going to the gym, you're not going to have any motivation to keep going. Do not take these things away as a punishment. Number 4 is to convince yourself that you have the control over what you're trying to do. Whatever you're procrastinating, you're probably procrastinating because you're scared. You're scared that you're going to fail. You're scared that's going to take too long. You're scared it's going to take too much energy. In psychology, being disciplined relies a lot on something called perceived behavioral control, which means do you have the capacity and resources to do whatever you want to do? In order to actually make something up yourself, you have to believe that you're capable of it. Number 5, learning is never a waste. I want everyone to get this into their heads. You have to realize and learn the value of education in all areas if you are going to be disciplined and have self-control. Learning anything from any subject is going to make you a better learner. It's going to teach you how to problem solve. Once you convince yourself that education is priceless, then once you're sitting in a class, even if you don't like the subject or even if you think you're not good at it, if you see the value in it, you will convince yourself that it's something that you need to work hard at. Never too late in the day to do something productive. I think a lot of us think that if we're not getting up at 6 a.m., going to the gym, drinking a protein shake, coming back and starting our 10-hour study routine, then we're just not being productive. The thing is, everyone is different. You just can't compare yourself to what other people are doing. You have to do what works for you. For example, I wake up super late. I'm a huge night owl and I'm a huge sleeper. I love sleep. And so my study routine is usually kind of weird because some days maybe I'll study half an hour and then some days I'll study the whole day. Some days I will wake up early, some days I won't. But the thing is, in high school, I was still a really good student. And so you have to have that confidence in yourself to be like, no, I don't need to listen to what other people are doing and I'll do what works for me. And I had that mindset in high school and I think that really helped me because even if I had woken up at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. and then it was 9 p.m. and I still hadn't done anything, I would sit down at my desk and start. Even if it was for half an hour, it would make me feel a bit better. It would make me feel productive. And just starting is what's hard for most people. Just sitting at the desk and opening their computer is the hard part. So yeah, if it's 11:30 at night and you're like, I kind of want to do something productive, then do it. It doesn't matter that it's 11:30 and people are starting at 8 a.m. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you wake up late. It doesn't matter if you wake up early. Just do what works for you because it's never too late in the day to be productive. And number 7 is the hard truth. There is no fast pass or secret to success. If you want something, you actually have to do it. Nobody's going to do it for you. No one's going to advocate for you. It's literally just you. And although that sounds kind of scary and unsettling, there's something beautiful in it, and it's that your future is literally in your hands. So Just do it. You got this. I love you guys.
Start using these 3 memory boosting secrets to remember anything. Back in high school, I struggled to remember the overwhelming amount of content at school. From history, science, and my English essays. I tried rote learning, going over and over the content until I could remember it, but it didn't help. Try these 3 secrets which helped me go from working hard and a poor memory to saving my time, a great memory, and acing my exams. Secret 1 is spaced recall. To use this, go through what you need to remember every other day, over a period of 2 weeks, to cement it into your long-term memory. Secret 2 is using the method of loci. This uses your brain's powerful spatial memory. Link what you need to remember to objects around your house. Then, you can walk through your house in your mind in the exam to recall everything. Secret 3 is using dual coding. Don't read a textbook to learn, both listen, watch a video, and read at the same time so that you can triple the memory power of anything that you learn.
If you want to remember literally everything you study, please try this simple hack. I'm not even joking when I tell you this will turn you into an academic weapon. So what you should immediately do after you finish studying is head over to ChatGPT and use the voice chat. Tell it what topic you're working on and ask it to act like a classmate you're explaining the concept to. It'll ask you questions and help you dive deeper into what you know or what you might have missed. It's like having someone to explain things to without the awkwardness of talking to yourself. You can thank me by hitting the follow button.
I always study so hard, but I cannot remember a single thing that I studied. If that sounds like you, then listen to this, because I'm going to tell you how you can switch that around. Coming from someone who used to get E's all the times and then getting A's in the exams. I'm going to tell you the 4 techniques that literally changed my life. Firstly, Pomodoro technique. I cannot even stress how good Pomodoro technique is in helping me focus. If that doesn't work, I usually use Pomodoro technique with like study with me. So like I would watch someone on YouTube studying and it would be like 25-5 for 4 sessions. So it would be like a 2-hour session for studying. Once I got used to that, I can go up to like 50-10, which is studying for 50 minutes and then taking a break for 10 minutes. But my attention span cannot go longer than 25 at the moment. Secondly, it was the Feynman technique. And in the Feynman technique, I would basically explain something to like my friend or my sister or an inanimate object. So like literally just my cup, I'd just be like explaining something to it as if I was teaching a class. And that made me understand everything so much better, because then when I'm explaining it to someone, a lot of stuff will start to link in my head and I'm like, oh my god, that's what it means. And then everything just makes sense. Third one is spaced repetition. Basically for this one, I would just use like past papers, for example. And if I make a mistake on something, I would go over the same past paper again a week later or 3 days later if it's like a really bad mistake. It depends on how big the mistake is. If it's like a 6-marker mistake, then I go through it again tomorrow or 3 days later, things like that. And fourth is active recall. I use blurting for this. So I would just like write down everything I remember about something. Specifically, the one that I use for this is Cornell method. So basically I have the Cornell sheet, which kind of looks like this. So this would be like the section where you write your notes, and this would be the keyword, and this would be the summary. What I used to do is like in this section where I write the main notes, this is what I copy from the textbook, but like summarizing it. And then in this section for the keywords, this is where I do it from memory. So I would blurt here, and then I would blurt it again over here, and that like solidifies everything for me. But yeah, that's it. That's how I study.
I know you guys don't believe me, so let me show you how I memorize an entire topic in 20 minutes. So I've got my active recall questions, 10 of them, but they cover the entire topic. What's so good about these questions is that they can all be answered in 5 words or less. If you don't already know, with the 3-step active recall method, you have to answer the questions 3 times. In attempt 1, you answer them closed book, no help. Even if you don't know much about the topic, just go ahead and answer the questions. It shouldn't take you even 5 minutes to answer these. Then you obviously go in and mark them. Notice how none of these answers are more than 5 words. In attempt 2, you answer the questions again, but obviously this time open book, which means you answer the questions while looking at the answers basically. It may seem pointless, but this step is so important. Then attempt 3, you answer the questions again, but repeat as attempt 1 and answer it closed book. Then mark attempt 3, then compare the differences and see if there's any improvement between attempt 1 and attempt 3. If you haven't got all the questions right in attempt 3, repeat the process. There you have it.
How I stay disciplined and motivated as a homeschool teen. First thing in the morning, make a to-do list of everything you want to complete in the day. Try not to add too many tasks, otherwise you get overwhelmed. Follow other study TikTokers to help you stay motivated. Reward yourself for completing your goals. For example, when you complete a task, take a break to watch your favorite show. Push yourself to get out of bed even when you don't want to.
Can someone stitch this with advice or tips on how they became a more disciplined person?
I got you. So I'm a medical student right now, and if anyone's a pre-med student or a medical student, you know how crazy it is in terms of just managing your time because there's so much material to learn. When I was in grad school, I watched this video about CEOs and their morning and night routines, and I literally tried to copy what they would do because, these are the most successful people in the world, and they basically don't have time. And honestly, it helped me out so much. So here's some tips from that. First, make a clear agenda for your day and make sure you stick to it. If you let others know about it, you're more likely to follow through with it. If you don't get your agenda done for the day, make sure you reprioritize the next day what you need to get done and what you didn't get done. This next one's obvious, but our phones are such a distraction. One of the things that I like to do when I really need to study is I take my phone and literally put it in a totally different room. That way I'm too lazy to actually get up and go over and pick it up. And lastly, figure out your why. When you figure out why you're studying or why you're doing something, you're more likely to stick with it. For me, it's because everything I learn can save someone's life one day.
What's the best way to read for understanding and to retain what you read? I'm Dan Willingham. I'm a professor who studies human learning. People who have trouble with reading tend to read things that are assigned for school the same way they would read an article that they find on the internet. They just sort of sit down and start reading. Research shows that the process of reading is actually different if you have a goal in mind. If you know what you're supposed to get out of the reading, then as you're doing the reading, you're sort of searching for the relevant bits of information. So the first thing you want to do is look at the headings and subheadings of whatever it is you're supposed to read to get a sense of where this piece is going. And then on that basis, you set your goal. Think also about how this reading probably fits in with everything else that's happening in the course. Second thing you want to do, as you're reading, you want to check in periodically and see, am I really understanding this? So every time you get to the end of a section, put the book down and see if you can summarize what it is you've just finished reading. Some people like to pretend that they're teaching it to someone else. If you're not satisfied with the summary, go back and reread it. Final thing I'll say is expect this process to take time. I was talking with a student about this just last week, and he said, oh, I get it. So basically when you're reading something difficult, it's less like reading and it's more like studying. And I think that's right.
This system will make you remember anything inside out. It's called the system of review. To perform this system, you must take notes on whatever you want to remember and review it immediately after completion. A review should take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes depending on the length of your notes. After the first review, you need to review your notes every day for a week leading up to the exam. Easy as that.